All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I do appreciate your time today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Today we have Ellie with us. But before we continue, could you let us know where you watching from and if you can hear us? Love to make sure if we have audio. Are we audible to you? If you can paste in the comments, love to hear if we are audible to you. Okay, Tim has confirmed. All right, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm here with Ellie. Ellie, how are you doing today?
Hi, everyone. I'm doing great. I hope everyone else is as well.
Excellent. Ellie actually has worked with us 2 years ago. Ellie is a beautiful daughter of Ann Heath. If some of you guys remember, Ann Heath was one of our customer service managers here with Pastor's Line, and Pastor's Line has been a product actually that I recently sold. For some of you guys who are a client of mine, it was actually a product that I was really proud of, but God, sometimes you can do a good thing, but if it's not a God thing, God is like, it's time to move on. And it was a stressful situation. I remember borrowing 10 years ago $4,000 from my wife's 401k account to launch this app. You see, I had gotten rebaptized at that time, and I saw the incoming merger of technology that will allow churches to reach a generation for Christ, to go to and fro, to go out throughout the world. I mean, there was always televangelists and satellite, but it was becoming more easier for local churches, not international media companies, to reach the world. And so I really was stoked to do that. Dropped out of grad school, mechanical engineering, and the journey has been beautiful. But for those who have been with me through that process, God has been working. And one of the things that he have done over the about a year and a half since I sold that company, I started preaching and teaching and sharing and learning more about God. And it matters to you because I believe somebody who is building products for the church should have a relationship with God. I think it matters more. And I think God is going to bless what we do, which hopefully would translate to what you do how you'd be able to use the tools. All right. So in fact, one of the things was I was at the highest, I was 407 pounds at the highest number. And God is like, this is unsustainable. It's unhealthy. Even though you're building products and even though you have worked with thousands of churches, hundreds of churches over the years, about 5,000 different leaders, church leaders and members, that does not equate to a relationship with God. So just a quick update. I haven't done one of these in a while. Keep me in your prayer. And I hope that with this new focus, more stable marriage, better relationship with my kids, and more mental stability, I can continue to serve you as we continue to forge ahead. Fluid Ministry is the company that we have built all these products under. And one of the things that we would like to do moving forward is to consolidate these projects in that they would begin, one, speaking to each other, two, simplifying the subscription structure. So these are our products that we are going to discuss today. Let us know. So I think Tim is from Manhattan. Morgan, thank you so much, from Alabama. And so Coast Hill Church said they can hear us. Katie Johnson said she can hear us from Michigan. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate that so much. So these are the topics we're going to talk about today. We wouldn't put too much fluff in there. We respect your time. So if you're a display, could you let us know which product you're most interested in hearing from us about? Display.Church, CCBChimp, ChurchBee, or Confirmed.church, so that we can kind of focus on those. Okay, we have John Ross coming in from Houston. I'm actually 1 hour up 59 Houston. From Houston, I moved out into the country here a little bit, but I lived and I'm in Houston almost every other day. In fact, that's where I go to play my soccer. I play soccer. It forces me to kind of do the hit exercise. So welcome in Houston. So John Ross went to Display Church, Tim, Confirmed Church, etc. So the good news is that we're going to go through all of these, and I think you would begin to learn more about. Laura wants ChurchBee and CCBChimp. Yes, neighbor. Yes, John. Yeah, so good. So again, because we plan to have some of these products, all of them integrated at some point in time and have them more useful for you, I think it'll be a good webinar. So let's just continue. First up is Display.Church. And for those who are not familiar with Display.Church, and at the end of this webinar, before I forget, we are going to have, and you might have been familiar with this, we're going to have an offer for you to actually save 50% and try out all of these products. So Display.Church, for those who are using Display.Church, Display.Church works with, it's a set it and forget it application that pulls in your calendars, groups, and some of your sign up forms and display those nicely on your website. However, we go beyond that. We have become specialized in being able to display and integrate your events and groups, and in such a way, we do it in such a way that is visually pleasing, but it's conforming to some of the best practices and allowing you to connect, allowing your users to not only find the information they need, but to actually take action. Because you can put anything online. Yes, it's integrated. Yes, you can set it and forget it. And yes, you can have it set up so you don't have to manually enter the data on your website and in your church management system or in Google. You can have it very streamlined. But we have spent more time over the years doing small tweaks. One of the big things we do is filtering. So one of the problems is that you can put all the events in a full calendar on the website. Nobody's going to find that. So I have actually a quick example that I can show you here. This is Arbor Road. And they have been one of the templates that many churches has. I did a webinar on this, and I did a video on this, and they came up with something very creative way before we had things like featured events and stuff, where they are using our advanced filtering, because we pull in things like tags, location, we pull in departments, tag groups, depends on what application you have, and you can filter out things. So just to think about it, you have a men's ministry page or a women's ministry page or a children's or a youth page. You don't want to show them everything. You don't want to send them to one event that has everything. It just depends on your workflow. You might want to then take a widget like this and have that display nicely on that specific sub-side page, right? Or if you set up a all-in-one events page, I think this is a really good approach where you can have these different filters, again, where people can kind of find filtered information. Okay, what's for adults? Or these are the information for adults. This is for youth. This is featured. This is the main things I want to look forward to. So this is something they had done. They had more widgets on this page, but they have simplified. So this is the idea behind Display.Church. So let's actually kind of just talk about, and if you have any questions, just go ahead and post it and I'll be looking at it ever so often. So we are going to talk about some of the key updates in there. So previously, we didn't talk about it on a webinar. If you're using Planning Center, now, as I said, Display.Church works across multiple apps, but certain apps has certain features. If you're using Planning Center, we have now integrated tag groups. So there was a particular comment by someone where they wanted to show genders. They wanted to show their groups, but they wanted to have a filter to show gender. So this was actually one of the comments from them. I'm looking for another filter on top of my groups cards, blah, blah, blah. They wanted to show men, women, and anyone in there. Just a side note, we do pay attention to our feedback board, and that feedback board is feedback.displaychurch. If you have any comments, any things that you'd like to see, please post it over there, and that's an important thing we use to determine what we work on. So this was the first thing we asked. So we added what we call group tags. So if you're using Planning Center, it's both on the front end and the back end. so that you can actually show, you can have a group tag and using, and then you can show that on the front end and the back end like so. All right, so hopefully you can see that. And this is the visual example, so you can do gender, etc. So that's a new option available in the groups feature right now. Because Planning Center has that exposed, it works with Planning Center at this time. The second thing we have to offer is the ability to show multiple. Let me find which tab I need to be on. I think I closed it. We can show multiple, we can actually integrate multiple integrations. What that means was, before, you could only have set up one Google Calendar integration or one Planning Center. If you have more than one, you can do that now based on the limits to your, based on your plan. So if you had two different Planning Center integrations that you wanted to pull in that data in, and then you can come in here and you can then filter and see those, that's definitely doable. So below here, you'll be able to switch or be able to choose which one of the many integrations that you want to use. So that's just a quick kind of recap on something we shared with you a little few months ago. Coming to the new features, and for those who have joined us, we are going to go through the 4 apps that we are building. So if we're not talking about an app that you're using, it'll be good to learn about the other products, and you may be interested. But we'll definitely get to your app very, very soon. So we're making good progress for Display.Church. This is just the only page. So for the new features, we have the widget performance overview. I actually recently just talked about this with our team this morning. So now this is a precursor to having the full reports of what's happening. So currently you can kind of filter and say, okay, how many of my calendar widgets, how many, particular engagement I'm getting. So we're going beyond just putting something on there and hoping somebody sees it, to seeing like, I can know that people are actually engaging. In this particular account, they do not use any groups widgets, so there's no data here. But they do use the event alerts. So the event alerts is like a banner that sort of drop down from your website like so. And it's set it and forget it. So you can actually pull in a particular category called featured, and you can show these banners. And once the event is over, it goes away, right? Unlike some of the built-in banners that you may use within your website. As always, you have tons of things. We can change the color and everything like that. You could actually also add a call to action and have it, if there's a URL or something, you'd have it linked to that section. So anyway, so that's what this particular account is using. And this is a precursor to having full reports, so you can see from month to month what you are actually using. It's also a precursor to, as you know, we had implemented all the features were included, but we have implemented quotas, which is not being enforced right now. So it'll give you a good idea. Maybe you need to downgrade. Maybe you're paying too much, or maybe you are using this a lot and you may need to upgrade because we are providing the value and it's actually working for you. So that's what's coming. Excited about that. The next thing for Display.Church is custom domain names. We recently rolled out a new option. So you would notice that if you go to install, you can install it on your website through an embed, or you can actually just copy the shareable link. This morning this didn't work. Let's see if it works now. Yeah, you can copy. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing this. We need to double check that. But anyway, you can copy we just re-rolled this out a week ago, so it might be a bug, but we host the link for you. And that hosted link is now using a generic email called Display Host, which is your default link. We eventually would have you be able to customize it to have something like mychurch.display.host, so that it's more personalized. That helps with SEO, it helps with performance. But the next step from that is to fully customize this URL so that it can be something like events.grace.church. whatever, right? So custom domain names, which will help with SEO and help with branding, is coming soon. And then, so that's applied to all integration. Now, if you're using Google, in fact, the local church that I work with, they have actually switched to using Google. And I think it's Google Calendar for events. I think it's a really good workflow to consider, because not every church has the money to invest in better solutions like better church management system, which works wonders. But not only do you have to have the money to invest in the software per month or whatever you pay for it, you have to have the staff to actually be trained. So if you are not that church, you're not there yet, I think Google is a really good one. So this church uses Google Events, which is something that Display.Church offers. And what you would see is that the secretary at the office, they don't ever have to even touch Display.Church. That's what we do. Once you have it set up, you set it and forget it. So for example, they have a pantry happening. Today it's happening right now. So what they can do, they can put an image in here. And then the way how we use Google, we add hashtags. So if you kind of come into here and you edit it, you can put another hashtag and says community. My screen is kind of big, but it's a 2K screen. Hopefully you can see that. You can put community in there, pantry. All of those hashtags in Google is now could be able to be filtered out inside of Display.Church. So you can see that this one says pantry. I'll have to resync for the other one to come up. What that does is you can then go into here, use Google, and actually create separate calendars and showcase that. All right. So you can go into filter, and you can filter by tag. The tag is basically the hashtags. And these are the ones I can choose. So if I choose just pantry and I click save, it's only going to show the ones that has that word pantry in there. All right. So actually, I didn't do it correctly. I did an and or. So because it'll show both. But again, that's the other cool thing with us. We can have very complex filtering. You can do an and or, so you can really filter it out. What we have recently done, however, is we have given you the ability in Google to show this hashtag as a visual representation of what's happening on this particular event. It only works with Google right now. It only works with the cards grid and cards list view. So a cool little quick update. We plan to extend that probably in the future. So once you have that turned on, you can optimize the colors, the size, everything like that. You can change everything that you would like on it. So that's one of the things that we have added there recently. Okay. If you're using Display.Church and you're using Google Calendars. So if you have any questions, please post it in. I would definitely love to answer those as we go. So that's the Google Calendars update. Anyone using the Google Calendars for their website instead of Planning Center, PushPay, or Braze? I'd love to know if you're on this call. And I've seen some churches use both. They are using Planning Center or PushPay, but they have a smaller ministry or they have other things that they integrate the Google Calendar as well to use for other use cases as well. So that's something for you to consider. Moving on, in the final comments on Display.Church would be our improvements to one of the features that I've really been excited about which is the MailChimp or HTML integration. We have now extended that. The way how this works is that you can go to a calendar like so. We kind of recommend setting up a separate calendar. That way you have more control over the filtering, because the filtering is based on the default settings of the calendar. But you can then go to install, go to MailChimp, and then click next. Now you have a couple things. We have the original template, the side by side. You have the stack. All of these templates, you can copy that code and paste it into MailChimp. And once you paste that into MailChimp, you can have it as a set it and forget it code. Mean week after week, when you add to your calendar, your MailChimp newsletter, you can then have that data remain. So let me show you what I mean. So this is an example over here of what that looks like. So I would have copied the code and then I would paste it in. So that's what it's actually looking like. You grab an HTML option. All right, a code is called code. You drag it here, you copy. Let's go back over here. You copy this HTML code, you paste it into the code block. It looks like this. In order to see what it looks like, you click on preview. So now this particular code is going to be saved here, and week after week, this is evergreen. What does that mean? It means that every time, evergreen, I've chosen evergreen. Every time I send a new newsletter is going to pull the latest events. You can also do it for static, and there's a lot of cases where you'd want static. Static means, let's say if you have a particular conference coming up and you want to paste that under blocks that says here's the week, the Easter week events. You don't want that to be updated every week. You would do static, right? Because the way how the evergreen works, you can do it from today, from next Monday, so it'll always just grab from that time period when the email is sent. But static is also useful. So we have two options for you, and we have three templates. We have the side by side, as I mentioned, we have the stacked, but we have a new template which I'm pretty excited about, recently released. This is the simple list. So it's easy to read. I've seen a lot of churches kind of write in like a week of events or a month of events in a simple way. And these actually are clickable. So if you can see over here, we have that same version here, the simple list that you can choose from. And then you can actually send that and see what it looks like. Obviously, this would be in together with your other pieces of it, right? Your other parts of your newsletter. You might have a blog, you might have a corner for the past and stuff like that. But these would just be two examples of that block that sits in nicely. So I just sent myself a quick test so we can see how that works. Now, while that test is loading up, there's something that we have added that I'm really, really excited about. And I'm going to drag this over here. So this is what comes in here. I can click on the title, and I didn't update this code. This was my test code, but I can click on anything here that brings me to the event. So somebody that is using it, they can see it, they can come back to the event. But one of the cool things we have done, if you have noticed, is add to calendar. We have added this add to calendar option. So with this add to calendar option, not only do you send the events to your members, they can see it, not only is it set it and forget it, not only is it automated pretty much, now they can take action. I'm really excited about this because you can send 12 events and you're trying to, usually when you send newsletters, you're not targeted to particular people. With our system, you could target it. You could have specific widgets for specific newsletters. But let's say if you're sending one newsletter to everyone, they might see 12 things and they're just going to scan it through, but it doesn't allow them to take action. With the add to calendar, you can now not only open the event, but they can choose to save this event inside of their webinar, inside of their calendar, and be able to subscribe to it. I think I already subscribed to this morning. So you can do Apple, Google, Outlook, etc., etc. Is that something you guys see yourself using? In able to use this? I think it's pretty exciting, and it changes static content and make them take action. And not when it shows up on their calendar, most people have like Google on their phone, they are reminded about it and they are likely to show up in person. All right. So not only do they see it, they can say, I want to remember this, add this, etc. And it works as well as with the simple list. So that's kind of like the end. We have one other sneak feature that makes this really useful. It was a comment where we only showed the number of upcoming instances based on the next 31 days. We have added a new option to show it over the next 31 events. This is huge because it can go across multiple months. With this, there was some limit. If it's 31 days, you can only show 31 days in the future. But if you're doing it by events, and let's say if it's a feature event, you don't have 10 million events in 1 month, or it's not a calendar with all the events, you can show what's happening, maybe the key things that is happening for the next 6, 7, 8, 12 months inside of MailChimp, or inside of, which I'll talk about, inside of MailChimp moving forward. All right, so this is really cool. This can span across multiple months. But there's actually something. You might say, Jason, I'm not using MailChimp, but I would like to use this feature. We actually have a new beta feature for you. It's still stored under MailChimp. We haven't quite moved that yet. It's called Copy the HTML Experimental. This is static, and it will copy whatever you have here. Let's say if it's a simple list. Now you can then paste this into MailChimp or any other HTML-based newsletter. For example, and this is where that integration comes in, where we're going to talk about the next thing, which is ChurchBee. So if I go to ChurchBee, what is ChurchBee, you may ask? ChurchBee is a visual design template, a newsletter for churches that works with your current church management system. Currently, it's optimized for or works primarily with PushPay CCB. We have plans to have this work with other applications. Why would you want to use this instead of maybe MailChimp? Again, it's not an either or. Um, if you're sending messages out, you're already paying for your church management system, and they usually offer unlimited emails. We offer a fixed price per user, and the idea is that when you send a message out, the data is stored inside of your application. You can see it, you can filter it, you can display it, and then as these companies start to add other things like AI search and things to analyze your people and data, you can have all of that rich content into one system. So this is one of the solutions we created, and again, it just offers a visual builder. So if you're using another solution outside of MailChimp, maybe Constant Contact, typically they always offer you an option to do an HTML or code block. So I've just copied that code, and now I've pasted it in here. I can go back and I can do this a second time. So yeah, this is the hosted link. You got the point. So I think I covered it over there. Here it is. So I can go back, I can click install. It's under MailChimp. We'll probably have to move that, but I can copy this side-by-side version, and then I can probably go here and let me just grab a second HTML and then paste that in. So now I have both options inside of a different application. And once I put this here, this is currently static, it's not evergreen, but I can quickly grab events which instead of having to spend time to do that. So I think it's really, really, really cool option there for you. So we have kind of covered Display.Church. Is there any questions on there? We are going on to the next thing. And we have started showing you the sort of integration, or at least how we are getting ChurchBee, which we'll talk about next, to kind of speak to Display.Church via the copy and paste template, which I just showed you. Again, you can paste this into Constant Contact, or if you're using something else as well, okay? Once it allows you to process HTML. So now we're going to go to ChurchBee. So we have finished Display.Church. As we shared before, we have plans to really have these software talking to each other and simplifying the subscription and adding huge value to you. So over the last 2 years, we have been working on this plugin. It's coming out of beta, meaning that if you're using ChurchBee, it's time to get ready to for that next stage. We think we have done tons of improvement to make sure that it works well enough for your application. We have fixed prices as low as $5 per user per month for unlimited emails that is sent through your application, depending on how many licenses you have. So, or which we highly recommend to get the bundle, which give you 7 users. And you can use not only ChurchBee, but Display.Church as well as CCBChimp. Highly recommend that. And I'm going to ask Ellie now to give us a short walkthrough of how ChurchBee works. Currently, as I said, it works primarily with PushPay CCB, but we have plans to explore if it can work with other applications as well. Ellie?
Yes. All right, let me go ahead and share. Okay, so once you have the ChurchBee extension downloaded, it'll show right here. You're going to want to have your PushPay application open, and it's super easy to use our browser. You just simply click right here, and it'll pop up on the side. We have a ton of amazing starter templates already made, so you can definitely choose from one of these. We'll use this one today. It'll take a second to load, but once it loads, it'll pop up right here in a separate browser. And we have many options to customize this email campaign to how you like. We can add images. We have a ton of free images available. You just click and drag, super easy to use all of these. And if you want to browse, you can actually search for free photos right here. I already have one loaded onto the account, but we'll go ahead and find another one and click import. and it'll show right here. You can insert whichever one you'd like, and it'll pop up. So that's just one of the options we have. Of course, we have all of these as well. Another really cool feature is you can actually add merge tags. So this takes information directly from your profile. We can put like contact number, names. So we'll just do preferred phone right here, and it'll insert that information right there. Once you are fully finished customizing the campaign how you'd like, you can click preview and it'll show the desktop version as well as mobile. It'll take a second to load, but it'll pop up. Typically, it pops up right now. Oh, okay. We'll go back. So if that ever happens, you can just simply go to your drafts and it'll be right there. So we'll open this up again. And yeah, you can view the desktop and mobile version here as well if this feature isn't working. And then you can go ahead and export. We have a couple different options for exporting, but what we're going to do today is send it directly to our PushPay system, which will be right here. All right, and it'll pop up right here. You can name the email and the subject line. After that is finished, you'll continue to step 2, where you can add the recipients. We have all these options to choose to add people. I'll go ahead and type from name. Select as many people as you'd like. Click add recipients. And you want to make sure you actually check off the names. And then you'll continue to step 3, where we have 2 different versions to send this email. We can either schedule to send it at a later time, so we can do Thursday at 12 a.m. Click schedule, or you could also just send now. So even though we have it scheduled, you're still able to override that and send it right now. So we'll go ahead and do that. And there it is. We'll open this back up so you can see kind of the process of it being sent. So if you go to this drop down, right now we're viewing our drafts, but we can actually change to click on sent, scheduled, and delivered. So you can see it has updated this this template that we used to sent, and we can see if it has sent to the recipient. Here it is. And there it is. You can see the image that we added. And the other information. So the profile didn't have a phone number, but it would pop up right there. And yeah, that is how you do an email campaign with ChurchBee.
Thank you, Ellie. And the other thing is campaigns, right? So one of the things that PushPay doesn't offer is the ability to see who has opened it. So right now we do have the open rates in the right-hand side, right below there, Ellie. If you could show that again, you can go to campaigns. It takes a few hours to populate, but you can see the data. So obviously, not only could you send a message, you can see people that opened it. So you can click on the campaigns tab over there, and you can see that information. Eventually we plan to add things like clicks so that again it can be useful, right? So beyond just having it integrated into your management system, you want to be able to know who opened and who clicked through. So that's something we're really excited about, and hopefully we can continue to extend this across different integration. And that was also a kind of quick walkthrough of how this thing works. So we kind of recommend that for those who kind of are satisfied with this and probably doesn't want to continue right now, I would highly recommend the webinar, the bundle. So in order to get the bundle, if you can type that in there for me, Ellie, it's fmbundle.com, and we have up to 50% off to of the subscription in perpetuity in forever. Sorry, I'm nervous, but in order to use that, right? So you can not only get Display.Church and ChurchBee, but if you need CCBChimp, which we're going to talk about next, all of them included at the highest plan will give you up to 50% off. So I think it's a really, really good option. So for those who want to check it out, definitely consider that bundle. But we're going to move on to the next thing, which is we almost finished CCBChimp. So I know some of you guys were interested in CCBChimp as well. So thank you for staying there. Now, one of the main things is that even though there's other solutions for sending your data, CCBChimp syncs between PushPay and Mailchimp. There might be other solution that exists. However, what we do differently, we do offer two-way syncing. But one of the cool things we have done is we have actually allowed you to now pull in custom data. So CCBChimp only works with PushPay CCB. And what does that mean is before you had the option to pull in the default data, and that default data included things like name, email, birthday, salutation, etc. Right? So these are the default data. We also added address recently, which is specifically syncing from safe searches, but you can pull in the address information as rich data to use in your campaigns. Now we have actually, this has been a request that we have had on our list for almost 3-4 years, and we were finally able to figure out how to do it within the constraints of PushPay CCB. And now we have added custom data. So not only could you pull in the regular data to create rich, targeted, transactional campaigns, now you can actually pull in custom data. So in this case, I'm pulling in the live stage. I'm syncing it to a tag, a mail field, so both a merge field and a tag in MailChimp. So I can go into MailChimp and use that as a merge tag to send out customized emails to people. If I wanted to add more, this is per audience. But if I wanted to add more, I can come back in here and I can do the same thing. Whatever the API exposes, save search, background check, alert, we have live stage, whatever the API allows for and exposes, you can bring that data in and map it over to either, we highly recommend creating a new field that matches the name, or if you have an existing field that you want to sync to. All right, so I think this is very, very exciting for those who are using PushPay CCB and using Mailchimp, so that you can build rich campaigns. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. And then finally, Confirmed.church. This is for Planning Center users. We do require you to do the 10 DLC registration if you're a current client. Your messages, as we had warned you for almost a year now, I think the last warning was 60 days ago, that in order for you to continue, you need to complete the 10 DLC registration, which ensures your message is delivered. So if you're a client, make sure that is done. But once that is done, we have something really exciting that, well, actually, this is a quick reminder for those who have not seen this in a while. The way how it works is it works in two ways. Confirmed.church allows you to send accept or decline message to those who did not get Planning Center services requests. So that's via the mobile app or email. If they did not accept it, you can then send a text. So we first make sure that it wasn't accepted. You can send a text confirmation request and say, hey, do you want to accept or decline? And that's the first thing that it does. The second thing it does is it actually sends reminders. It doesn't matter the carrier. You don't have to have the carrier information set up. It just works with the mobile phone number. So I can send a reminder to that volunteer to show up 15 minutes before the event, 1 minute before the event, 1 hour, 1 day, etc., etc. So you can kind of customize how many times that works.
And
One of the
Jason,
things
we did have a comment real quick by Ron.
Okay, so yeah, Ron was interested in ChurchBee. Well, ChurchBee would never really replace some of these really advanced systems because they do advanced marketing. But if you want something that has fixed price that works within your integration, and that you can control, I think I highly recommend you trying it out. The trial is very free. Is free, so it doesn't send emails. ChurchBee is not sending emails at this time. It's something that we plan to do. I think it's been a request from us to actually process emails, be like a simplified Mailchimp. But at this time, what it does is it designs the newsletter and inserts it into your current application, and your application sends it. So Ron, if you have any other questions, I would love to. No, we don't have that analysis, but hopefully I'm giving you the context of what it is, right? So it doesn't replace those if you want advanced data at this time, and advanced automations and marketing tools. Okay. And then we had, so back to Confirmed.Church. So we now offer you the ability to select which services that will get the reminders. So that limits the amount of text that has to go out, or the people who need to be reminded. One of the things you guys have asked us is to work with teams. So, in Planning Center, there's teams. We planning to add that sometime this year, as well as having multiple schedule templates. So I can customize. Maybe I only want the worship team to get one reminder because they're pretty good, or maybe some of the youth leaders, I need to send more reminders because they're forgetful. So right now you only have one template. That's something I know have been asked about a lot, and that's something we hope that is coming soon. So this is primarily for Planning Center users. And if you don't know, you can customize the message. This is what it kind of looks like, that acceptance message. So you can kind of come in here and customize that. And these are what the reminders look like. So if you want to translate this to a different language, you can do that as well. So that is the main kind of updates when it comes to Confirmed.Church. So we have touched on all of them so far, and we are pretty much at the end of the webinar. Yeah, sure, Ron, no problem at all. No problem at all. And we highly recommend the bundle. That you can, especially if you're interested in at least two or more of these services. If you're using one and you're interested in another, if you're using both and you don't have the bundle, you can definitely save. We definitely recommend doing so. So thank you so much for your time. I will stick around maybe for a minute. If anybody have any other questions on any of the products, I can probably try to answer those. But for those who have to leave, again, that website is fluidministrybundle.com. Highly recommend that. And yeah, any questions for me? All right. So I'll keep looking at the comments. So thank you so much for your time. Do have a blessed day. I'll keep your ministry in my prayer as you pray for me as I continue to be a tent maker like Paul was. Pray for me and the team, Ellie and I, so we can be tent makers, just occupying ourselves until he comes. Thank you for supporting us. Be blessed.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.